This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 26, the movie review of The Good Dinosaur. We will also be discussing the Zootopia trailer. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot Ian Jones.
How you feeling, buddy?
Oh man, I have been sick for the past couple weeks. I apologize for the late on this, just being late on this podcast.
This might be a lesson for next year because I was so sick I almost didn't make it for Creed.
Oh, I know, man.
And then you got sick afterwards, so it's a good thing that we're both feeling better.
Yeah, I feel better. I still got a cough, but other than that, I feel fine. So yeah, my voice might be a little off for this one.
You don't sound that far off. You don't sound crazy. But, maybe that's a lesson to be learned. As long as you're better for the movie of the year.
Oh, yeah, right? I really have been thinking about it. I've been trying to just fight this thing without going to the doctor, but man, I've seriously been considering going because I do not want to miss Star Wars, that's for sure.
The Force Awakens.
Yep.
All right. Just a few more days.
It's agony waiting, man. It's terrible.
I still have to figure out where I'm going to go and see that movie.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah. Well, people here, I think, are going to be dragging their feet.
I don't know, man. It's been selling out all over the country.
I know. Well, I think Phoenix is going to be worse. We'll see. The last time, when Phantom Menace came out, there was a huge, like all the theaters were sold out and everything, and I still walked right in for opening day.
All right, man. This was bigger, man. I don't know. You were taking a huge risk,
I'm not sure. All right, we'll see. Okay, well, I'll tell tomorrow. I'll get on it. I'll start making calls around and see.
All right. Well, now that we've wasted all this time, let's go ahead and get the Zootopia, huh? The Zootopia trailer. Did you see this trailer?
I did, yeah.
This is another Disney animated one, which it actually looks kind of fun, and I think Disney animation has been doing better with their 3D movies. The past few have actually been pretty good. And I really liked Big Hero 6, and I thought Wreck-It Ralph was really good too. And so I'm actually really excited about this one because they've been locking it up. They come a long way from Chicken Little, which is one of the worst 3D animated movies I've seen.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do like about this movie is, I don't know why, but it seems like it's been a while since we've had this type of Disney movie where animal characters, the anthropomorphic animal characters are walking around like normal people. When was the last time we seen stuff like that? That was like classic back when we were kids.
Oh yeah, Jungle Book, and to a much lesser extent Robin Hood, that piece of crap movie that they did.
So I'm actually kind of excited about that fact of this because it actually has been a real long time since they've done a movie like this. So I'm pretty excited about it. It definitely was amused me when him and that rabbit walks in and to the DMV and they're all sloths and it's just excuse me, it is just absolutely fantastic. It's pretty fun. How do you feel about this thing, man? You as excited as me, or are you just like,
we'll see. I mean, I am very interested to see it, especially after that trailer, because that was just really a section of the movie.
Yeah, right. They just
they
gave you a
showed
section of
there.
the movie. One of those just completely out of context sections of the movie that's just like a teaser to kind of show you the tone or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little. It's it's funny. The humor in it is really not something for kids. I wouldn't.
No, which is also kind of interesting for a Disney animated movie. We know Pixar does that all the time, where it's
Right.
just
Yeah.
it's just not for kids. So it's got to be interesting, and I'm pretty sure Lasseter was probably involved with this one again too, isn't he?
Well, yeah. He's involved in everything that Disney
Yeah.
does. So
That's crazy, man. John Lasseter, great animator, great director, is just awesome guy. You got anything else for this Zootopia trailer?
no, other than speaking of trailers, we've had some trailers drop recently,
Yeah,
and X-Men Apocalypse came out.
yeah.
And I have to say that I'm kind of eating my own words about how Apocalypse looks.
Oh, all right.
Because-
You know what, man? I have actually not seen the trailer yet.
Okay, well,
But I remember you talking about this earlier, though. You were just like, I don't know if I like this, but you might have to eat your words, huh? I'm gonna see now. I have to go see it.
yeah, you got to watch it. It's okay. It's like X-Men is joining the Marvel universe finally. That isn't the reality, but it almost feels that way.
All right, that gets me excited about watching it. I'll definitely give it a look and see what you're talking about.
All right.
Got anything else?
No, I'm good to go.
All right, so I guess we're gonna take a little break here, and then we'll go ahead and get into the movie review and get these characters started. After getting separated from his family, an Apatosaurus named Arlo goes on a journey home with an unlikely human friend. This movie is directed by Peter Sohn, who is a major animator, director, and voice actor at Pixar. And he's been a part of them for a while now, and he's definitely has plenty of experience as an animator. You know how we always like those guys.
Yeah, well, you know what I don't like is someone who's reading the cue cards while delivering a heartfelt message to the audience. So maybe just off the cuff, you're Pixar, you can edit some stuff, and geez, man, you don't need to be reading off of a teleprompter.
What the hell are you talking about?
Did you not get the message by Peter Shawn before the movie?
No.
Oh, what theater did you go to?
Well, I went to Harkins like we always
Okay,
go.
all right.
Or like I always go.
Yeah, I don't do Harkins anymore. So that might be why that showed.
Oh man, you don't go to Harkins
AMC
anymore?
Well, AMC's closer, and they, get me in.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping one day maybe we could get in with Harkins.
I would love that. I'd much rather go. I'd much rather go to the movie theater that gives us money.
I know, right? I would love to. I have no problem if this became the official podcast of Harkins Theaters. You listening, Dan Harkins? Probably not.
Yeah, hey Dan, we are in Arizona. You want to support a really small podcast? You jerk.
Oh man.
Even after I called you a jerk.
Oh, that's awful. Peter Sohn also did the voice of Forrest Woodbush in this one too. That real weird character. This movie starring Jeffrey Wright as Papa, who was in Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Boardwalk Empire, and of course The Hunger Games.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright. I love reading what actors have on IMDb. If you look at Jeffrey Wright on IMDb, it's really almost a smug description where they refer to him as the most underrated actor in our generation, which cannot possibly be true.
Oh, wow.
But it's always funny to me.
That's terrible. Wow. I swear, man, sometimes you're just... apparently, we are never going to get actors on this podcast, that's for sure.
No. Well, what would we say? You were really good in that, or you really, what the hell were you thinking?
Oh, man. Frances McDormand, as Mama, she is actually married to Joel Coen. So she's been in quite a few Coen Brothers movies, Almost Famous and also North Country.
It gets you work, just like Judd Apatow's wife. She gets to be in all of his movies. No one else would put her in shit.
Yeah, I know, right? It's awful. Marcus Scribner as Buck. He was also he's been in Blackish, and that's pretty much what he's been known for. Raymond Ochoa as Arlo. He is one of those child actors, so he's done a lot of voice work as just like additional voices and everything. So he was in Yogi Bear, Mars Needs Moms, and Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Jack Bright as Spot. This is another one of those guys. He's only done additional voices with Monsters University. And then, of course, Steve Zahn as Thunderclap.
Yes.
You remember Steve Zahn, the 90s actor?
Yeah. You know what this movie needs? More Steve Zahn.
Oh, jeez, man. I remember when I found out that he was doing this, I was like, God, I didn't even know that guy was still around. But he's actually best known for National Security, Daddy Daycare, and Sahara.
Sahara. When are we getting that Sahara sequel? Huh?
Oh, jeez. We don't need any more Sahara, that's for sure.
I did just see him in Ridiculous 6, which just came out on Netflix.
He is in that. I haven't seen it yet. How is it?
It's getting ripped apart. I love it.
Oh,
I absolutely love it, and everyone is tearing it up.
All right.
Hey, I gotta say, it's absolutely worth watching because it has one of the most creative deaths in it. That's all I'm gonna say. It has one of the most creative deaths in it, and they have Vanilla Ice in there playing Mark Twain. And
what?
And that is brilliant. I have to say, that is absolute brilliant casting because he plays it as if Mark Twain is a white guy trying to be black. And if you're a fan of Mark Twain,
wow.
You know how brilliant that is. That is absolute.
That is amazing.
And he's like dancing around and he's like acting like he's, black. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect.
It's terrible. That sounds awful.
That is great. It is so worth it to see Vanilla Ice in there and then to see this crazy death. And I'm not even going to say anything about it because it is one of the best deaths ever. It is right up there with Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten by the shark.
Oh, wow. Oh, I always love that scene. And what was that? Deep Blue Sea?
Deep Blue Sea.
Where they I guess they didn't have enough money left for him and it just chopped. He had that, like, he was doing that real, like, emotional kind of, like, speech that he was doing, and then all of a sudden, chop, gone. It was just, like, the most ridiculous scene in that movie. All right, so next up we have A.J. Buckley as Nash. He's been TV roles, bit parts, and voice roles. Anna Paquin as Ramsey. She's, of course, Rogue from X-Men. She's also in True Blood and the movie 25th Hour.
Where are you getting these people from?
What are you talking about?
Is this a different list here?
Oh, I guess I didn't tell you that I changed the list.
Oh. Well, all right, great.
Well, I bypassed all the kid actors that did the young versions of the dinosaurs because they're in the movie for like, 5 minutes, if that, at the beginning.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
No?
Yeah, no, that's fine. We're good.
Yeah, so I changed the list. Well, I'm sure this is lovely for the audience. Well, let's get to the last one.
Okay.
The last was Sam Elliott as Butch, and he's basically a cowboy in a lot of his movies, and he's a cowboy in this one too. Pretty much, if you've seen any Western movie from the 70s to the 90s, Sam Elliott probably shows up somewhere. He was also in The Big Lebowski, and he was General Ross in that awful Hulk movie. So that happened too.
Yeah, he also is in The Elephant Man, right? No, didn't he make it? He played a biker in that one. He's always good.
Yeah, he is. Now that we've got all these characters, Jones, let's go ahead and get into our quirks and likes.
Cool.
So let's take a break. All right, now for our quirks and likes section. So let's go ahead and get into my quirks. I got a few here.
Uh-oh.
My first quirk about this movie is the story is actually really simple. And it's pretty much just a kind of a man versus nature type story, which is used a lot in different movies and books and just stories in general. And so it's not the most original story that you see from Pixar, but it works, and that's fine. But that's just one of the quirks that I had about the movie. And actually, the only other quirk I have, Joe, so I hope you can pick me up here, is the scene where they are eating the fruit, and it basically turns into a trip. A very weird trip. And I'm like, when I sit there and they're doing that, and it turns and it completely changes style, and I'm like, that not only does that take you completely out of the movie, but then you're like, I'm looking around at the theater and I'm like, well, there's a lot of kids in here. And so I'm just sitting there like, this is kind of weird for this, but I guess we're all just gonna let this happen.
That's good. That's
just such a weird scene, man.
What's funny about it is one of the things I noticed was they were just eating berries. And the thing that popped into my head before that weird fruit trip scene was, how do they know which berries to eat? And then sure enough, there's a scene right after that.
Yeah, right? It's funny you say that, because I was thinking the exact same thing in that scene, right before that scene. All right, man, so you got some quirks on this one?
The first thing is going to be, thanks, Pixar, for making me tear up like a sissy.
Oh, wow. Pixar is really, really bad about that.
Yeah.
They really know how to get you in the feels. And I think that, whenever you get a chance, I don't know if you've seen this, but there is a YouTube video that's Pixar Sad Labs, where they show you how they're making people sad. Give that a watch, and that'll put a smile on your face.
All right. The story, what you mentioned, was really simple. Arlo basically gets rewarded for getting lost.
Yeah.
And so, by all accounts, I should have a plaque of my foot for getting lost in Target when I was 9. If that's what it takes for him to finally come of age and join the family and get to put his stupid paw print next to the other family members. And by the way, he misses all of the work.
Yes,
he gets his dad killed, which is just so overdone.
Yes,
the whole story is really poorly derivative of other animated films.
Yeah.
And he gets rewarded for it. So it blew me away that, you made it back home and you skipped out on all the work that you had to do too.
Yeah, there's not really a life lesson in this movie at all.
There's a lot of references to killing and eating other animated characters, and probably more so than any other Disney film. And so I was genuinely surprised and kind of delighted to see like Spot bite the head off of a beetle.
Gosh, that scene was crazy.
Right, or Thunderclap swallow that cute rodent.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, what the hell is any of this doing in a Disney movie?
It's weird, man.
So those were really my two things, and you know the whole getting lost and coming home thing was really a problem for me.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get into the likes. I got a few here too. So
all right.
The first thing that I absolutely positively have to say is the environments in this movie is absolutely stunning.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there is another 3D animated movie that looks that good, environmentally speaking. Like, it is gorgeous. And there's a lot of scenes where it looks like they just composited the characters into real life areas. It's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, I couldn't believe, I when I watched the trailer, you get a hint of that in the trailer. But when you go see the movie and how expansive and massive the environments are, everything just looks gorgeous. Even the water is done so well, which we both know is probably one of the hardest things to do in 3D. Yeah. It just is. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And I definitely wanted to mention that.
Yeah, could I throw in some technobabble?
Yeah, let's do it.
For maybe the other 10 people in the world who might get it.
Yep.
But the environments, no other animated feature has ever done anything like this. No other effects house, not ILM, not Weta, not anyone, has ever done anything this good from a visual standpoint. And I mean in any movie ever. I'm just going to say... I'm going
the statement.
I'm going to say that right now.
All right.
Pixar absolutely did all of their R&D went into basically recreating the state, recreating most of Wyoming to do this movie. They used U.S. Geological Survey data. The backgrounds are, like you said, they're just out of this world.
Yep.
They were lighting scenes through clouds. Everything they had, from the clouds to all the terrain, none of it are matte shots. It is all 3D real world simulations. They had 3,500 tree wind simulations.
Wow.
And they had 900 visual effects shots. That's twice as many as any other Pixar film.
Jeez.
And I think that this absolutely deserves the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects.
You know what?
It absolutely does.
That is a crazy statement to say, and I don't know if it's that good, but I would not be disappointed if that happened. It is visually stunning what they've done with this movie. It's absolutely amazing. I can't believe how beautiful they did everything in 3D. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it really shows you the talent of those guys. I mean, it's just outstanding. You're like almost speechless at how beautiful everything looks when you watch the movie. The other thing I wanted to say is I actually really, really enjoyed the animation in this movie. I think the animation is actually amazing. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about the animation of this movie, now Pixar is always just highly talented when it comes to animation. They're the best in the business. The thing that they always do very well is just regular animations and they do all the basically the exaggeration to make it look cartoony and beautiful. But the thing that they don't do a lot of is like full on just like character type animations. And what I mean by that is when you look at the T-Rexes are, the way that they're animated is like they're cowboys on horses.
Yeah.
And that's just such a freaking cool thing in this movie. I absolutely love it. It looks exactly like they're just cowboys standing on horses and riding on horses, but it's just the T-Rexes. And it's so freaking cool. I love the animation in this movie. And there's a lot of that in this movie where they just do all this like real cool little character stuff that's obviously looking at something else. And I really enjoyed that with this movie. The last thing I have about this movie that I enjoyed was even though the story is basically man versus nature, I do like that the story parallels the fact that even though the river tries to basically kill him, and the river has actually takes out his father also, but there's this positive aspect to the river that even though it's done all these bad things to him in his life, just in this past however long this movie is, for I don't know, a week or so, it's also the way home. And I think that's just really just an awesome just parallel that they have through the story of this movie. And that's one of the things I really did like about the story of the movie was just that. And that's all I got, man. So what do you got?
Yeah, well, you touched on it as far as how some of the character animation is. I absolutely love the idea of the T-Rex posse, and that they're cattle ranchers, and so occasionally they eat their herd, but they also need to keep them alive.
Yep.
And I thought that was really terrific.
Yeah, it was.
And I also love too with the pterodactyls that they come down from the clouds and they almost look like sharks circling.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
So there's a lot of little creative stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative stuff in here.
Yeah, there just isn't a whole lot to the story.
No, there isn't.
Yeah, and I already touched on this and threw a lot of terminology out there as far as the environments, but I have to say it's a total game changer of a technical achievement, and that's really, I think, why this movie is important. This movie is about as important as maybe Toy Story 1, which is why it's a shame that it isn't as good as some of them from a story standpoint.
No, it isn't. All right, you got anything else then?
No, that's all I got.
All right, let's rate it. I think this movie has absolutely stunning environments and fantastic animation. It's all rolled into a fun, simple adventure, which is basically just man versus nature. And I actually struggled with the rating on this one. And I'm just going to go ahead that I am borderline see it.
I think personally, I felt like the story was the worst part about this. It just is so similar to other things.
Yeah.
I think it would be a bad story for even a different house, a different production company. That being said, the technical achievement behind what was done here, I absolutely appreciate, and that is the only reason why I'm going to give it a rent it, because I was so disappointed with everything.
Yeah, I had a huge problem with this movie. I mean, I wanted to say rent it, which is why I say borderline see it, and I think that has a lot to do with just me personally being a fan of Pixar and how stunning the environments are and how beautiful the animation is. The story really kills this movie pretty bad, and I was concerned about this movie from the beginning. Even when we talked about it in the trailer, this is the first movie Pixar's done 2 in 1 year, or released 2 in 1 year, and I think it shows personally.
Yeah, well,
I think that everything that Pixar normally does is brilliant in this movie, but it seems like pre-production wise, when you're trying to get this story out, it doesn't feel like they spent a lot of time trying to figure out what to do with this story. And I feel like that's a huge problem because Pixar is known to have really creative stories. And there's a reason why, this movie's got nowhere near. It's just not going to beat Inside Out for an Academy Award. That's for sure. And I don't know. I was pretty disappointed with it. And it's another one of those things where it's like, because it's a Pixar movie, I think that's one of the biggest issues with it. And is the fact that you expect so much from them. And it's just not Pixar good. And I think from a technical standpoint, it's definitely Pixar good. But overall, I just don't think it's there.
I don't know. Personally, I don't have an issue with, if you're going to spend 2 or 3 years working on a film, it isn't a huge deal. Pixar works on shorts, and movies intersect all the time as far as their timelines, and they went an entire calendar year without releasing something. So
yeah.
So we knew that we were going to get 2. There was some question as to, initially wasn't going to be this or wasn't going to be Newt, and
they just canceled Newt entirely.
Yeah, correct. So that kind of makes me wonder about the story on these things. I will say, I really didn't enjoy this as being a Pixar movie. I think the movie is far more important as far as a technical change to how things are done in our industry, in the film industry and the animation industry.
Yeah.
I actually think this movie is that important. And side by side, although I didn't particularly enjoy this movie, if one of them deserves an Academy Award, it's this one. It is an Inside Out.
There's no way this movie is going to win Academy Award for Best Animated.
I'm just saying that is my personal belief, is that what was done in this movie is that important to how animated features need to be handled.
There's just no way that's going to happen. I mean, I get that it might have a shot at visual effects because it is absolutely brilliant. It's freaking gorgeous. And from a technical standpoint, like you're saying, it is fantastic. But I just don't think it's going to get Best Animated Picture. And I personally don't think it deserves it. It's just, this movie just has some issues with the plot. And I think that really hurts it. But anyway, now that we're done with our ratings, Jones, let's go ahead and get into our, I guess we're going to do some listener shout out, huh?
Yeah, well, we got a question in from Twitter.
We did. We got a question from Twitter.
Say that 10 times fast.
We got a question from Twitter from Neil Brainy Gamer, whose name is awesome.
That is a great name.
And he asked us, what do you guys think of the trailers that spoil the movies like Batman versus Superman? And Ian and I, you and I have talked about this frequently. And it's kind of like the movie we always bring up, the recent one, is like Terminator Genesis. Yeah. Where they tell you that John Connor is basically not John Connor and he's like a robot or something. Yeah. Something else is going on, which should have been a reveal.
Correct.
But they give you the whole thing in the trailer, and that's absolutely ridiculous. I am so tired of these guys doing that. And I felt the same thing with Batman versus Superman. Because I'm like, they're giving away the entire movie. Why are they giving away the entire movie? I don't get it. I just, why the heck can't they, what happened to a time period where there was a time period in the 90s where this happened a lot, right? And we had evolved from that and kept from doing that. And now we're going back to that, where we're just going to give away everything and hope that you go see the movie. It reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons. You remember that episode where Homer's at the movie rental place and he's watching the McBain movie, and he's sitting there and he's watching the trailer at a movie rental place, because back then people did that, and he's watching it and he's just a trailer, And then the guy, he goes, "Oh, that looks pretty interesting." And then the owner walks up to him and it's like, "Oh, hey, so you gonna watch this movie?" And he's like, "No, I just saw the whole thing on the trailer." And that's exactly how I feel sometimes. And I'm just like, it drives me up a wall, man. I'm like, stop giving away everything in the movies. Rant off. Your turn.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a pretty impressive rant. I got a call from my buddy Corey D.
Yep.
Who I wish I would have recorded it because it was about like a 10-minute rant and it was pretty entertaining to listen to about this trailer. The Superman versus Batman one where they give it all away. There is nothing of any surprise ever, period, that we're going to get with that movie.
Nope. Even
if other characters show up, we already know where it's going and we know how it's going to end because thanks for spoiling that, and I genuinely believe that was the reason why no one went and saw Terminator. I don't think it was because Arnold isn't the box office draw anymore. I think the trailer screwed him there,
which is entirely possible. And Terminator Genesis was pretty good. I enjoyed that one.
It's just it got me thinking of. Do you recall the first trailer for The Matrix?
Oh, there's no way I remember that.
I remember it really clearly because they showed some of the effect shots, but they don't give you any idea what the movie's about. And
okay, I vaguely remember that.
You're just blown away by the whole concept of, if we wouldn't even know if we were living in the Matrix. And so, like, existentially, it's a little bit of a, it's like why I don't sleep on planes. I don't want to get incepted, but they don't give away what it is for Inception. And I don't get why, movie trailers are supposed to get you to go to the movies. Yep. So that you pay your money to be surprised. You don't want to find out that Willis is the ghost in the trailer, because then there's no reason to go and see it. That's
so funny you say that. My mom is really bad about like figuring stuff like that out during the movie, and I remember watching that movie with her, and there's that scene where he's in the hospital bed, and he goes, Haley Joel Osment is just like, "I see dead people, and they don't know that they're dead." And right after that, my mom's like, "Bruce Willis is a ghost," and I'm like, "What? How did you call that?" And like, it was the most ridiculous thing ever. They're just like, what are you talking about? That just doesn't make any sense. Right. and then I was like amazed because I was just like, what? How did you do that? And my mom is so bad about that. I don't know where she gets that from, but she's really good at calling stuff out. She's even called out the names of characters because they're used often in movies. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's pretty crazy, though.
That's great. Everyone was talking about that movie when it came out, and so when I finally got a chance to see it, I knew there was a big twist, and I was racking my brain the entire time trying to figure out what it was, and then, I was nowhere near it. So
I had no idea either, man. It's pretty crazy. And then, of course, M. Night Shyamalan's been all downhill since then.
Yep. Well, you sell your soul to the devil, right? You go down south somewhere to a bar next to, 4 intersecting dirt paths and, pull a little supernatural thing. And you got 2 good movies and that's it.
Yep, that's it. It's a shame, really. All right, Joes, we're going way over on time, so let's go ahead and sign out, man.
Worth it.
Totally worth it. All right, so if anybody wants to contact us, we always have our home on the web at halfpastpodcast.com.
Like us on Facebook.
Rate us on iTunes. We always like those 5 stars.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. It's halfpastcast@gmail.com. Go ahead and email us just to say hey, or tell us we're terrible, or tell us we're awesome. I'll take all the email.
Hate mail. Tweet us at halfpastpodcast, and thanks for the tweet today from Neil Brainy Gamer.
Thank you, Neil Brady Gamer, for giving us a little bit of love there. And thanks everybody else for listening, and thanks for your support. Next week we have Star Wars.
All right.
This week, actually. This coming week.
In
Star
a few days,
Wars. Force Awakens. I can't wait.
You owe me a Coke.
I can't wait.
All right.
I'm so excited about Force Awakens.
I'm gonna start calling some theaters around here.
You need to figure that out right now, man.
I will. I'll figure it out.
You need to figure it out. I wish you would have told me earlier. I would have figured something out for you.
When are you going?
Well, actually, work's taking us.
What time?
On Saturday. They rented a
Saturday?
theater out.
That's
awesome.
Great.
Yes.
Damn. That's way cool.
Yeah, so
Can they sneak
we're
me
going to
in?
do that.
Can they sneak me in, or?
Well, that's why I said I wish you would have told me earlier. I
shit.
had a +1.
Damn. All right.
So what the heck,
can't wait.
man?
I can't wait for Saturday. So
Well, fantastic.
I'll mug someone to get in.
All right. You need to figure.
I'll attack someone with a plastic lightsaber.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm not waiting for Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unless that's my second time seeing it, like Mark Levy was talking about.
Oh, yeah, man. He's going to watch it a couple times.
Mm.
I'm going to watch it a couple times, too. I'm going to definitely watch it again.
Awesome.
All right. This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.